Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Bet Elevator, everybody. I am Lou Betya, joined as always by the Catch Warrior, Mike. Mike, this is a weird card to handicap. I'd love to hear your thoughts before we get started, before the cops get you, apparently.
Welcome to New York City, man. I have to deal with that all day long. But yeah, in regards to this card, I freaking hate it. But there's two guys on this card who I'm honestly, three guys on this card who I'm super hype about, who I want to see more of. Cockramanov, Boralo, Fiziev. So that's cool at least. There's a few good matchups, and David Onama's coming back. So should be an okay fight card. And at least we have a fire one to look forward to next week that I think both of us are going live to, Long Island.
I'm trying to work out my details of it. I'm trying to figure out what nights I'm staying. I would like to see Valley Stream New York for a night. I know probably nobody said that ever, but since it's where I'm from, I'd like to at least see it for a little bit. I think the early start time next week is kind of interesting because it's going to be done at 5 o'clock.
Told me. What time is it?
11 a.m.
Wow.
So it's done at 5. I can get out of there, maybe kind of see the town. I don't know. We'll see who's around. I know you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Maybe I'll convince Liam to come up. But you guys can hit like and subscribe. We'd be appreciated. Go follow Mike, although we'll plug all that stuff at the end. And let me just do a quick shout out. Papa Chuck here, way early, saying that we need a bellhop, and I am here for this. But nobody gives me donations because unless we have Cody Brundage on, I don't get donations. That's what it takes. My guy Prince of Mischief's here. What's up? All right, Mike, let's get right into it, man. I will start this one off because I think we have 12 fights. I always like to give you the main event if I can. Ronnie Lawrence against, I hope I say this right, I didn't watch Burt this week, said Joachim Cockramanov. I think that's pretty close. Lawrence is a small favorite. He has been taking steam all week. So, look, I think this fight goes one of two ways. I'm going to start it off easy, though. I think if Lawrence wins the decision, I think if Cockramanov wins, I don't think Cockramanov can win a decision, but I think his best path would be a finish here. If there is a finish, it will be on his side, I do believe. So I'm going to start with Lawrence decision at +1. I think it's +150. Last I looked. Lawrence by decision down to +130 at most books. Somebody's hanging a 150 here. Betway. Oh, shit. I should take a look then. I have that one. I just feel like a Lawrence money line bet is a decision bet. I'll start with Lawrence at +150. I'm pretty sure this will not hold up.
Yeah. So honestly, you're the one who kind of got me going on this one because I was thinking about the round 3 prop for Cockramanov because of what we saw in the last fight with Ronnie Lawrence and Mana Martinez. In that fight, I had Martinez decision, no action. So when round 3 came along and he dropped this guy 2 times, I was like flying off my couch screaming. And, Ronnie Lawrence, credit to him, he held through, but it showed a little bit of a gap in what seemed to be a guy with very few issues, right? Because up until then, he was just killing people who, like Jose Johnson was like a -300 favorite over Lawrence, So up until that point, there were no real holes to point at, and that's when we started seeing a few. So Cockramanov, round 3, +1400. You got to like it. First of all, we just saw him do that to Trevin Jones, right? In their last fight. He was short notice, so you can say that Cockramanov should have been the one with the cardio issues there. And he was fighting a guy who was, in my opinion, stronger than Ronnie Lawrence. So for him to get a round 3 sub there, I think that shows that he can keep going. And we saw that Lawrence can slow down. So while I don't think it's necessarily the most likely outcome here, I kind of think I'm going to have to play the round 3 +1400. I kind of have to.
Everybody, it does seem like, is on Ronnie. I just want to address this. It took a lot of steam early. It doesn't seem like it's taken any steam the last day or two, but it does seem like a lot of people got it earlier in the week. For whatever reason, my mouse is not letting me click this, but I do feel like this line is kind of stagnated right around -140. I'm on the Lawrence side for the fight in general. I just think that if he gets his wrestling going, I don't love Cockramanov's get-up game, but Lawrence doesn't do a ton of damage. So it's an interesting thing, but I am going to also play the Cockramanov prop. I do feel like it's like you said, man, I can't shake how he was in the 3rd round against Mana Martinez. And if Martinez, I mean, he was only a couple of punches away from probably winning that fight. He might have needed 1 or 2 more, maybe 3 more. I feel like Cockramanov is better on the ground. So if he does get a knockdown and hits the ground with Lawrence, he could finish him there, either by a club and sub or just could rain down fists. But I am on the Lawrence side for the bets. I think this is a good, and I kind of hate hedge plays, but in all fairness, with the way this card is, gonna have to get creative with some of these props to get some value. So I'm also on the round 3 prop, but let's move on to the second fight. You will start this one off. I know this is not the second fight, but we're just going to go in order on best fight odds. David Onama against Garrett Armfield. Armfield, a late replacement, moving up a weight class for this, I may add, as he does fight at 135. Not a lot of props out for this one. Under sitting at minus 200. Onama's in the distance. I saw 165 earlier. That seems about right. We do not have a lot of props, so we might have to play the guessing game with this one, Mike. What are you looking at to play here? Is there anything at plus odds you find as appealing?
So plus odds, it's hard to tell yet because we haven't gotten the more interesting stuff. Obviously, I'm leaning Onama, but first off, I want to say this. Their first fight, it went to decision. But first of all, that was a 9-minute fight on the amateur scene, and second of all, both have improved since then, and both have been getting finishes or getting finished, right? So other than Onama's fight with Mason Jones, he didn't get finished there. But I really think this fight doesn't go. The second I saw under 2.5 at minus 180, I hit that. I know it opened at minus 150. So if you got that, did I say minus 280? I meant 180, but I hit that. That's not plus odds, obviously. Can't even get Onama inside the distance for plus odds. I guess I'd maybe look at Onama round 1. But I have a feeling it's going to be like a Romanov situation where they put it at like minus 110, minus 105. So I don't know. I'm going to probably stick on that under 2.5 and not do much else with this fight. How about you? Anything for you?
Yeah, I'm looking at something interesting here. So I love the under, and it's going to be a parlay piece in a lot of things that I do, like round robin piece. I see Effie saying this gives Victor Henry vibes, and I'm kind of right there with you in that there's something feels off. Like, first of all, you can't bet Onama at minus 800. Like, obviously, it's not worth it. I kind of like the idea when the prop comes out. If you're going to give me 20-1 on an Armfield submission, I'm going to take it. The guy has subs in his background. He's going to come in at a size disadvantage, but he's also going to come in at a cardio disadvantage for this fight. His best bet's going to be getting it done early and going to the ground and avoiding any kind of power shots. Now, will he stand and bang with him? I mean, I guess he could, but if he has any kind of fight IQ, he's going to not want any part of that, especially that Onama has been fighting up at 145. So if Armfield sub is some crazy number, 20-1, because he's not winning by knockout, and I'm hard pressed to believe Armfield can win by decision. But if you give me 20-1 on this prop, 18-1, I'm going to take it. So I'm just going to put NA for this one. We're waiting on props. I'm sure Mike will tweet out some prop he found on this. If he likes it, I will, of course, do the same. Prince of Mister saying, why not play a decision? The moving up in weight and the lack of a camp is what's getting me off this thing going to a decision.
Don't forget it was a 9-minute fight, Prince of Mischief.
Yeah, and it was a shorter fight on the amateurs. I'm really thinking that Armfield, one way or the other, is not surviving past the second. Either he gets him out of there with a flash sub because he got it down to the ground, or Onama just absolutely bonks him. And
how about fight
ends
in sub? Onama's training out of Glory MMA. Onama, I just pulled up his record also because I wanted to see real quick. And he does have subs as well. Mostly guillotines, but he does have them. So maybe a club and sub on his side. And then Garrett, you were saying, is more of a sub threat here. So could be a look. I
don't know if Onama is going to go the highlight reel route at this part of his career. I think for you and me, especially as like maniacs, this becomes like a wait and see game. I just don't know what these prices are going to be. I mean, I don't know what Onama round 1 KO is going to be. If you're going to get plus money on that and it's reasonable, maybe that's worth it. And I don't know what DraftKings is going to put up for like Onama round 1, round 2. That might be worth it too. unfortunately, without the numbers to look at, like it's kind of hard to make a reasonable
Shooting in the
guess here.
dark.
But I do like if the Armfield sub is like a crazy number, I'm listening. So, but let's move on to a tremendous fight that we do have a number for. Carl Roberson against Kennedy Inchukwu. I will start this one off. I could just end it right now.
I was gonna say you could just destroy it right now. I don't have anything to compete with you with.
I mean, if you guys have been listening to me since I started, and by the way, I don't know why you would, but if you have been listening to me, there's a certain bet that I kind of like. Now, I've had some thunder stolen from me because Wheezy took it on Tuesday on Just the Tip. Danny Lags posted it today. But you can't think of Yambags not thinking of Lou Betya. And if this ain't a Yambag fight, I don't know what the hell is. It happened in Inchukwu's last fight against Negromanu. It was just awful. That whole fight was awful. And Herb Dean gave him like 4 warnings, which was brutality. I'm screaming at the TV to take the point. Roberson has such bad fight IQ that like he'd get a point deduction by accident. I mean, but really you're betting it on the Inchukwu side. And this is the other bet. Mike, were we talking about this before we came on the air? Roberson decision?
Unfortunately, we were. Yeah, we did talk about that one.
Daz, I looked at this and I'm like, it just seems like the kind of card where this is going to hit. I don't think, I mean, like Roberson got knocked out last time, but he got knocked out by Roundtree, who I think has been just, his life is like different. You are definitely better than Herb Dean. I like also that your name rhymes with it, which is great. So like Herb Dean should have taken a point like 3 warnings before that, but I think Roberson's decision's an interesting play. I feel like Inchukwu is regressing. I feel like he's timid. I don't feel like he trusts his chin. The problem is, do I trust Roberson to like not KO himself by like accident? I mean, the guy's fight IQ is so bad. The thing is he usually gets subbed, and I don't think that's a threat here. So outside of Inchukwu landing a big bomb, I think Roberson could probably control the whole fight. So I don't hate the decision look at all. I think plus 600 is not bad, but I'm just betting the Yambags and rooting for fucking stupidity in this fight. What about you?
I feel like that's the way. I'm on the Inchukwu side just because I feel like if I was gonna bet Roberson by decision, I need to be able to see it, and I personally can't see it. Like he's a kickboxer turned grappler for some reason, and I don't think he's gonna find any success grappling here. Inchukwu's just too big. I really don't see how he's gonna do that. And on the feet, yeah, you can argue Roberson could be just as good, if not better, technically, but I think the 9-inch reach is going to be a tremendous problem because he's got the height to boot. So, yeah, I'm on the Inchukwu, but at plus 600, I can't blame anybody for playing that.
Prince of Mischief, did you see my notes before the show? Because you should have held on to this thought for about 1 more minute. Because here we go to the 4th fight. Cody Brundage against Trayshawn Gore. I will let you start this off. And by the way, anybody in the chat that didn't see it, we were fortunate enough last night, Weezy and I, to interview the man himself, Cody Brundage. He came on the channel. He gave us half an hour of his time. Dude was so cool. So I may be biased in this spot, but Mike, go ahead.
All right. So it was a very dope interview, by the way. Everybody should check it out. And Brundage made a good case for himself and actually spoke like a gambler, which was cool. But personally, my favorite bet here is fight doesn't go at minus 130. But in terms of odds, highest I'm playing is going to be Brundage KO. Not Brundage, I'm sorry. Gore by KO. Got it at plus 300. I was talking about this with Gordo this past Tuesday. We were just saying how we didn't think that the KO prop for Gore would open up this high, and it did. So I was like, all right, I have to take it then. I just feel like on the feet, Brundage shows quite a few issues. So if he doesn't succeed in the wrestling, I do see a knockout coming. So I like that prop plus 300. I think you're going to beat me though.
So as far as a bet with the double chance, like Prince brought up, we had talked about this one too. We wanted to know what the sub decision double chance was. DraftKings has it sitting at plus 175. if you like the Brundage side, I love that as a play. He's not getting a knockout here. He shouldn't even attempt to throw any strikes on the feet. When we interviewed him last night, we're like, are you planning on shooting in the first 15 seconds? He's like, my striking's improving. And we're like, nope, no. I don't want you to say that. This is not the answer I wanted. But look, I'm going to make this simple. He told me round 3 sub. So
he said sub in particular, Lou?
He did. And it's plus 1,800. This is a little off right now. Let me fix that up. He said round 3 submission. Who am I to doubt him? So plus 1,800. Brundage round 3 sub. I bet him by submission. Just to tell you guys the funny story with this, that's real quick. So in his last fight against Dalcha, I had bet him by submission, and I had bet him by round 2 submission as a crazy prop. So he won by sub, and I'm going nuts, and I'm tweeting. I'm like cursing and yelling. Like I'm such a horrible internet person at this point, but I'm going off. And then the next morning I wake up and I'm getting these notifications. It's like, Cody Brundage is following you. Cody Brundage likes this post. So I'm wondering, did he just go online after the fight and be like, did anybody bet me? Like, oh, look, this idiot did. And then that's kind of how me and him started talking a while ago. And then I'm like, well, not to be a dick, but you could have won in round 2. That would have been really awesome. He's like, stop. He's like, hey man, the next day I had to take it. So guy said round 3. I have him on record. I'm right. I'm like, should I write this down? He's like, yeah. He's like, but don't. And I'm like, all right. So he says, oh, there you go. Cody sub round 3 on DK. 25-1. Hop on that. I'm not going to analyze this fight anymore because I know I'm biased here. I'm completely biased. But in all fairness, like Effie just said, Gore only has 4 fights. I know Effie's saying they're on the Gore side, and I get it. Brundage's striking defense wasn't so great last time, but what was great? His chin. His chin held up. So will it hold up here? I hope we do not have to find out. It would be ideal for me if we did not have to find out. But that sub decision at plus 175, very interesting look there. We are moving on to the 5th fight. By the way, we got 25 people here live. Thank you guys so much for spending your Thursday with us. We both do appreciate it. Okay, we're not going over Onama lingo because that's not an actual fight. God, why do I always get these turds to start?
That would have been fun.
I forget who said this the other day online, but they're like, dude, how can you complain about this card? You got Chefchenko and Nunez on it. And I'm like, right, but not, but also not really. Shevchenko, Courtney Casey.
Funny,
I'm going to be honest here with this fight. So I want to bet Courtney Casey. I have no action on this fight as it is. I want to bet Courtney Casey here because I feel like Casey fights for my money. The problem is I don't know that she fights well for my money more than I just like her energy. I don't know. I mean, their weaknesses are that both are not great on the ground, and yet that doesn't seem to be a problem here. This should probably be a 15-minute striking affair. I'm going to say Casey decision for the show. I am also leaning toward a play on the fight to end in a split decision because this is just kind of that perfect storm. But Casey decision for me, I don't see a finish on either side here. Casey decision, you can get it around plus 300 on some of these books as opposed to plus 145. Like I said, I don't see a finish on her side. So to me, I like that number, but you are free to beat plus 300.
Nah, I don't think I'm going to. I hate this fight. I don't have any real action on it. My only play is I parlayed the over 1.5 with Normagomedov. But yeah, I can't beat it, man. I was looking at Chefchenko by KO, TKO. I was thinking maybe she can get on top of Casey, but I don't know. If I play anything, I'd probably go with you and Casey by decision. We've been seeing all these dogs pull it off, and honestly, I feel like this is another spot that it can happen, right? On the feet, is the difference really going to be that crazy for Chefchenko? I don't think so. I don't think so. Casey's a dog. Casey brings the volume. I was talking about it on my fantasy show yesterday. Her significant strike numbers are pretty high, but then you look at her regular strike numbers, they're crazy. She doesn't stop. She's like Ricky Tercios. She doesn't stop. So That's
But
good
she's
if you're
also
going to go
like
to decision, right?
she's also like Chukagian, where she doesn't land a lot of them. Where I question the
Yeah, but
validity of how many landed. Shout out to my
did
girl.
she do like the Kia? I don't remember.
No, but she just looks like she's like, you know, when you work in an office and like there's people that are always angry and you're not sure if they're angry or they're just really busy. I feel like that's what Courtney Casey looks like. Like that's how she like reminds me. It's like she looks like she really knows what she's doing. And I wonder if the judges are like, oh man, she was so active. I just thought like Shevchenko just doesn't impress me that much. She's not that active. I mean, she's all right. Like she's like the round against Casey O'Neill, like the first round was pretty decent. I thought she looked good against Casey O'Neill for a round, but a lot of that is Casey O'Neill kind of just being reckless. Like I don't think Casey will be reckless. I just don't think she just doesn't have any power. There's no threat of like I don't know how she gets Shevchenko's respect. So I feel like the most volume wins. I think you're over 1.5. It's a great parlay piece. I think over 2.5. I think fight goes is like, well, I have it up. I think it's 175. I may be wrong. Minus 175. Fight goes, yeah, it's a little higher than that now, but I just don't see a finish either side here. And if I'm going to take a fight like this, that I don't want to say it's low level compared to some of the fights that we've had recently, but I kind of don't hate it in terms of like if you're going to play a decision prop, may as well get that dog money. And let's see, we got Boralo, Normagomedov by decision, and Fiziev inside the distance. It's not bad. We're going to talk about the main event in a little bit, but like once we get there. But the other two plays you have are very intriguing. Very intriguing to at least one member of this show. But let's move on. Let's move on to another fight that you were just talking about. I mean, Sahabi against Rick Tercios. You can start this one off. I feel like this is another binary fight, but I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, I mean, the narrative's been the same, I think, on every show I've heard this week. And it makes sense, right? Sahabi pretty much doesn't do anything. And Tercios throws big volume. Tercios has a lot of holds. Super green, just coming off the Ultimate Fighter, where he was champ, though. Sahabi carries a lot of power, good counters. We just saw him win fight in that very method. So I'm on Tercios. I parlayed Tercios. I haven't played a prop here, and there's two I'm looking at, and they're on opposite sides. So on the Tercios side, I'm looking at Tercios in round 3. You guys have watched my show or this show before. You know I love my round 3 props. And normally I'm looking for a guy with bad cardio on one side and a guy with good cardio and good output on the other. The thing is, Sahabi, I can't say he has bad cardio, and that might be because he doesn't do anything, but that doesn't change the fact that he doesn't have bad cardio. So I'm not sure about that. Tercios round 3s plus 1,200. So I'm looking at that. The other thing I'm looking at is Sahabi by round 1 KO, because I do think that's his winning method here if he does win. And that's plus 1,000. So I haven't played any of those. Do you have anything, Lou? Because I don't even have anything to put on the board, honestly.
No, you're sounding like a robot a little bit, though. You're breaking up a little bit. You're sounding very robotic on this side of it.
Let me try to fix it.
No, I mean, honestly, I think this is going to be Tercios' decision. That's the only way I would play this. Sahabi doesn't fight enough. He's not active enough. He's not active enough when he fights either. He doesn't throw enough volume. He's not active enough as a fighter. I think Tercios is going to get exposed. There's going to be a time to fade Tercios coming up very soon, but this isn't the fight. I just think Tercios' activity can win the day. I think he can have success on the ground. I think Sahabi's going to have a power advantage, but if he's throwing one punch to every 20 that Tercios throws, which by the way is a very reasonable like ask here, the way Tercios moves, I just see him outworking him 3 rounds, unanimous decision. It's plus 140. You're not getting like crazy odds. And yeah, he just Mike actually bet the Gore KO SK. He as I just said before, he did an interview with us last night. He came on with Weezy and me and did an interview. So I'm clearly biased for this one. But if you do like the Gore side, like I said, I don't see Gore winning a decision. To me, it's Gore KO or nothing. This goes 3 rounds. It means
plus 300 is good for it.
It means Brundage got the wrestling going at that point, in my opinion. But so you're going with either you're going to do a little hedge here or you're not sure. Sahabi round 1 and Tercios round 3.
So do I sound better first off?
Slightly.
Okay. So Yeah, normally this would be a hedge spot for me, right? You know, I usually like these kind of spots. I just don't know if I'll get here because the other thing on my notes was the Tercios decision that you just spoke about. So, if anything, I might just play that with you. So let's call it Tercios by decision for now.
I do feel like that's the safest path of resistance here, and that anything outside of is a hobby bomb. I mean, if you want to play round 3, I feel like Sahabi's cardio is kind of held up, and Tercios hasn't shown me like life altering power. But if Sahabi does come in flat, and Tercios is just completely gassing him, like I mean, let's see how much this goes to the ground. I think the finish is live on the Tercios side. I just 80% of the time I feel like he wins this by decision, and anything outside of Sahabi not being at his best, I could see Tercios just throwing a lot of not Chukagian punches. He lands a little more than Chukagian, but let's move on. Another meat grinder. Cynthia Calvillo against Nina Nunez. I will start this one off. I am not betting this fight. To me, Nunez is the side solely based on how bad Calvillo looked last time. But Nunez didn't look great either. And I don't even want to bet a time prop here because not that I think Calvillo is going to quit on the stool again, but I just want nothing to do with this one. You know, Effie said before about a smoke break. Yeah, this is my smoking and drinking break. I'm taking this one off completely. Mike, you got anything on this one?
So I played Nunez money line, just like you said you played it, right? Or you are going to play it?
I am not playing this fight at all. I want nothing to do with this one.
So I played her money line just for a half unit because honestly, I just wanted action on the fight, and I do think that Nunez has the advantage here in terms of striking. We haven't seen much of anything from Calvillo that's good, and then you know there are big question marks with Nunez. What she really looked like, we didn't get much out of that Dern fight. How's the whole family thing going? I brought this up on my show on Tuesday. Going into her Gadelia fight, the commentary team was talking about this. Nunez was saying that if she lost that fight, she'd retire and just go have her family. So things like that make me worried about that bet. One thing I was looking at was maybe Nunez by decision at plus 225. I don't hate that look. I don't see a finish here either. And you know, I think if we go to decision, unless Calvillo is really getting her takedowns, which I don't think she will be that well, or I don't think she's going to really get the control at least. I like Nunez by decision. I don't know if I'm going to play it, though.
Okay. I see SK asked about the lock of the night. I'm leaving this up here because my favorite bet of the night is on the next fight. So let's just get right to it. And I'm very excited for this fight because I love watching Jamie Malarkey fight. And I really do like watching Michael Johnson's fights. I would say I like watching his fights more than I like watching him particularly fight. But Jamie Malarkey against Michael Johnson. Just before you go, I want to tell SK that this is my favorite play of the card is under 2.5. It's minus 165 on some books, minus 170. I just feel like there's a couple angles here where either, you know, Malarkey's coming off a knockout in the last 4 months. Granted, it's to Jalen Turner, but he is coming off a knockout within that 6-month range. I never like to see fighters get back in there within 6 months. Their heads aren't right. And then Michael Johnson is also a guy who does Michael Johnson things. And he somehow could look great in the first round and then die in the first 30 seconds of the second round. So however you want to play this time prop, I think you're in good shape. If you want the safety of those extra 2.5 minutes and the fight doesn't go, that's fine. But I think there's such a big difference between the under 2.5 and fight doesn't go price-wise that I'd rather just take the under 2.5. It's worth it to give me that like vast difference. There's another fight when we get to Fiziev and Dos Anjos. The under 4.5 is plus 125. Fight or is plus 130. Fight doesn't go is plus 125. That is not a case where I need that extra. I'd rather take the extra 2.5 minutes for 5 cents. But in this case, these numbers are so vast. I like the under 2.5 here. I think this fight ends in the second round one way or the other. But that's my favorite bet for the card is that. So, Mike, what do you got for this fight from a prop perspective? And we lost Mike.
Turkey round 2.
You're breaking up.
You don't hear me?
I hear you now, but your screen's not even moving. All these props.
Okay, you go first. I'll try
good internet. So I'm on the Malarkey side, and like I said, for whatever reason, I think Malarkey is going to just take his time and he's going to get him out of there in the second round. I am not going to play a method because I do think Malarkey can sub him here if it goes to the ground. But I'm on the Malarkey round 2 at plus 400. I like these odds, and he's gone. So I'll just keep talking. I just think that Malarkey, you look at the two guys that have knocked him out. I mean, like, I could forgive the Jalen Turner loss. Like, that's fine. The problem I have is that, like, Michael Johnson's coming off beating Alan Patrick. And, like, okay. Like, Alan Patrick's, like, the worst guy in the UFC. So I'm still like traumatized over the, like, him costing me a lot of money in DraftKings by, no, I got poked in the eye, like I'm hurt. So I don't know what kind of version, like if this was a video game and it was just on paper, I would say Michael Johnson's better, but he always finds a way to blow it. So I like Malarkey. I like Malarkey to get it going by the end of round 1, beginning of round 2, and it's plus 400. Mike's not here. I'll just tell you, I know he likes Malarkey round 3 sub for reasons he'll tell you when he comes back, but I'm just going to move on until he, gets allowance for his internet or however this works when you're in your 20s. I don't know anymore. Oh, well, I mean, man, how much time do you guys have for this one? Chase Sherman against Jared Vandera. Let's get to it. So first of all, I'm going to advise this. Throw like $2 on the draw at 66 to 1. And before you say I'm crazy, just ask yourself one thing about this fight. Is there really another way it can end? Do we deserve this fight to end in a draw? I think we do. So that aside, because if the draw hits, you look like a genius. So that aside, Vandera is terrifying. He's terrifying at this number. And Mike now looks like Mike's not doing so good with this internet here. So there he is. I'll let you cover the Malarkey fight in a second. I'm just going to, now that I'm on the Chase Sherman Vandera fight, like I cannot be stopped. I hope you understand that. So, yeah, these guys are 2-8 in their last 10.
This is a mess, and my Wi-Fi's fucking us up.
Chase Sherman is, I don't know how many of you guys were like old school wrestling fans, but he is what we would refer to as a jobber to the stars. He was in there to lose to like King Kong Bundy and like take the stunner in 30 seconds. Like that's his role. And he's getting paid quite handsomely for it. Vandera, on the other hand, so the problem is this. What do you determine as the worst quality? Vandera has bad fight IQ, and Chase Sherman has being Chase Sherman. And these are not things that are conducive to profitability for me. If I have to lean a prop, this is the one. Vandera by submission. Because if he gets it to the ground, the tapping by strikes is also very live, I think. But do you really want to like put any money on this fight? I mean, Vandera by decision is possible. Sherman by round 1 KO is possible. Like, there's some weird variance in results of this one with two absolutely terrible heavyweights. Now, go ahead, Mike. If you got a good prop for this you want to share, you go ahead, man. I think we lost him again. Here we go.
Yo, my fault. I'm just going to do this from my phone because this has been a mess, but...
Okay. Well, give your prop for Sherman Vandera so we can move it along.
Absolutely. I'm crushing you no matter what you said anyways. Vandera by sub, round 3, plus 4,000. Give it to me.
Okay. Do you want to give your Malarkey pick as well while you're here?
Yeah, I'm hitting Malarkey by sub as well, and I'm doing that. I think I hit it at plus 550. I feel like that's a pretty good spot considering Johnson just manages to constantly get himself submitted.
Okay, well, we are moving on. Mike, you can start this one off. Silva de Andrade against Said Normagomedov. Normagomedov is a pretty big favorite. I feel like you're either going to take this by a method. I feel like there's no way you're on the Dandrage side here.
Mm-mm.
So what do you got?
All right. So, I kind of played this prop and then I see everything everyone's saying and now I feel like an idiot. But I played Normagomedov wins inside the distance at plus 105. And I was kind of tempted in the fight doesn't go because I just feel like this is going to be violence, man. And I get that Dandrage is this really tough guy and, he survived against Morozov against all odds and whatnot. But Said is really, really freaking good, man. And his counters are really slick. Dandrage can leave himself open sometimes. And, can Normagomedov hit a sub on him if things get dicey? I think that's possible too. So I played the inside the distance. I kind of like it. I'm just getting a little scared off of it from everybody else, but I'll stick with it for now.
For the record, Mike Malarkey was a legendary Pittsburgh Steeler back in the day who's like Tecmo Bowl guy, was so juiced up it was ridiculous. I am on the SK. We're going to give him away at the end of the show. So hang in for 2 more fights. We'll give them to you. Yeah, I don't have a big bet here. I'm on the Saeed. I got Saeed and Kaio parlayed earlier in the week at a little more than plus money. I'm not getting gritty with this one. I could see him getting a decision because Dandrage's tough, but let's not overlook the fact that a lot of refs would have stopped him against Morozov round 1. I think Normagomedov is a better striker than Morozov. I think he's better everywhere. So I like the in the distance look, but I don't think I'm going to get there. I think I'm just happy with my money line parlay with him and Kaio. Like, it's another thing where, like, let's see how the night goes. Like, maybe if I'm feeling frisky, I might take a round 1 prop here, if anything, and avoid the method completely. But I don't think you can go wrong here with Normagomedov in the distance. I do think his striking is so much better here that he's going to have a decided edge. And if it hits the ground, it's lights out too. So here we go.
I do think he's the best parlay piece on the board, personally.
Here we go. Got somebody for the under there, which I think is interesting. RDA Nunez, easy money.
Interesting.
I don't know what kind of world this Nunez easy money thing. That's such a mess of a fight that but we'll get to RDA in a second. So, all right, we got 2 fights left. I will start this one off. We got Caio Boralo against Armin Patrician. I am big on the Caio side. I am big on the Caio sub. I'm not picking around. I like everything I see from this guy. I except for the neck tattoo. I'm not a fan of like neck tattoos in fighters, in potential girlfriends, in accountants. Like, there's no profession where I like the neck tattoo except for tattoo artist, which I think is a great look for that, because then I know you like stand by your work. But I think Caio could wrap him up on the ground, and I don't know what round he gets him in. I know you do, but I think Caio can have his way with Patrician. I don't even think Patrician won his last fight against RoboCop. It was close. I wouldn't call it a robbery, but it was really close. But he didn't look. I mean, he took some shots in that one too. So it's obviously going to age well now that like RoboCop just came out and beat Marquez in no time flat. But I'm on the Boralo sub. That's my play for this fight. Mike, please beat that.
Yeah, so I'm on the same side as you, and the breakdown is pretty much the same. I really like Boralo here. I didn't parlay him only because I managed to get a good price. I hit him pretty early. I got minus 140 and minus 175, which I really, really, really liked. And I hit you up this week too. I was like, the sub, man, because I think if he gets it down, I think he's going to get the sub. So because of that, I do really want to play Boralo wins by submission at plus 750 in round number 1. But I kind of want a better line for that. I feel like it should be a little better. I guess you can argue both ways, right? You could also argue that it should be worse because, if he wins inside the distance, I would argue it probably happens in round number 1 more times than it doesn't, right? So I'm going to play that round 1 sub. Whether it's plus 750 or something else, we'll see what DraftKings puts up, but that's going to be my play.
All right, man. I got you down for the round 1 sub plus 750. Guys, we have about 40 people here live. Thank you so much. And if you can, please hit the like and subscribe to the channel. It does mean a lot to us. We are headed to the main event. Mike, lead us off. RDA and Fiziev. You already know the backstory with this. Fiziev still holding steady at about a 2-1 favorite, but a lot of props galore for this one. So where are you looking?
Right. So the one prop that I've been patiently waiting for, and I don't believe it's up yet, correct me if I'm wrong,
I'm sure it's up on some kind of book, but not one that I have. Is I'd like to see what RDA round 4 or 5 or decision is. I feel like that's going to be money
on FanDuel.
Um,
FanDuel usually has that one.
Yeah, I definitely want to see what that comes out as. But right now it's really hard to argue against RDA at it's plus 193. At this rate, we're probably going to get plus 200 money line. I can't argue him as a dog, so I'll start there, see if you have something better, and then I'll finish it. So I do like RDA to possibly win, and at plus 200 possibly, I like it. Plus 193, if that's the best it gets, I'm gonna play it.
All right, I can't seem to find this one with the.
Yeah, man, I haven't been able to find it yet.
With the grouping, so there's 3 fights. There's 3 ways this fight can end for me: RDA decision, RDA finish, Fiziev knockout. So if I feel like that's how this can go, I'm on the RDA side. I think the price is right. You're getting a guy who's fought tons of 5-rounders, a guy who I think has a market advantage on the ground. My biggest bet's going to be the fight doesn't go. I think at plus 125, you're getting a great price here for 2 of the 3 winning conditions I just spelled out. Much like Jeff is bringing up in chat, I agree that he has no tank. I think if you like the Fiziev side, you get him early. You get a round 1 or not a round 1 prop, but probably round 2, round 3. But as this fight goes on, I'm with you guys. I think Dos Anjos takes over. If you get the wrestling going early, it's going to be very interesting. But if he starts, I imagine RDA is going to probably try to stand and bang on them for at least a round. So I'm with you on the late round props. I don't want the decision prop, though. I think RDA is going to finish him round 4, round 5. I'm going to sprinkle both of them. And for all these people that says he doesn't have a killer instinct with Moicano, I mean, he literally tried to kill Moicano. Like, he literally tried to murder him until the 5th round where he's like, all right, like, I give up. Like, I'm tired of, like I may actually murder him if I hit him again. So that's on the refs. It's on the corner. RDA did his job. I mean, there's a clear 10-8 rounds. Like, can't argue that he wasn't trying to put him away. So be curious to see what Fiziev looks like on the ground. I know he's strong. His takedown defense has been okay.
But against who, though, right?
I was going to say, but this is a huge step up. So I'm on the RDA. And I'll tell you right now, the way these markets have been moving, I'd wait. If you like the RDA side like I do, don't even put the bet in yet. Because I feel like this might hit plus 190 or better by the time it starts. People are still loading up on Fiziev, or at least they say they are. So give me RDA. Give me RDA in the distance. Give me RDA all the late round props. Those are my picks for this fight. Now, you're saying RDA hasn't finished anybody. I mean, but
who's he been fighting, man?
But I very much argue that RDA had a finished victory last fight. That fight should have been stopped multiple times. That wasn't on RDA. I mean, that fight should have been stopped. So that's like saying, like, Zaleski dos Santos didn't have a stoppage, against Benoit Saint Denis. Like, sometimes you got to look past that and be like, look, man, that fight 1,000,000% should have been stopped. To me, that's RDA had that fight won. That's a round 3 win. Now, my sports book doesn't agree, but I can't look at that as like a decision win for RDA. Like, he did his job. So anyway, that's where we're at, guys. We made it to these fights. Mike, give the people a parlay since SK did ask for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give 2 because I want to give one that actually can hit and then one that's a lot of fun. So for the one that I think can actually hit, I did Normagomedov to win, and I parlayed that with Calvillo versus Nunez over 1.5 rounds. I got that at minus 143. So now that Saeed is like minus 330 or something, that might not be as juicy anymore. Even then, that was pretty chalky, right? So, but I do like it. I feel like the odds of that hitting are pretty good. And if you want to get a little risky, I did another parlay with the same thing, but I bumped it up with Chase Sherman, Vandera, alternate. I did over 0.5 rounds, and that bumped my parlay down to minus 114. So that's my chalk right there, my more confident one. And then the fun stuff, I parlayed Boralo by submission, Malarkey by submission, and Vandera by submission for a grand total of plus 22,259. So that's me.
That's crazy, man. I'm going to give you guys just the violence play. Let me see what Jeff's got in the chat before I give you 4 banger. Nunez, RDA, Malarkey, and Valentina sister plus 1,400. Man, I just can't get there with the 2 women fight, man. Like, I just can't do it. I've burned too many times in these kind of fights. For me, I'm just going to give you a 4-teamer violence play. I don't have the odds because I don't have one of the bets yet available to me. But I'm going 4 fight don't goes. RDA fight doesn't go. Malarkey fight doesn't go. Brundage fight doesn't go. And the Onama fight doesn't go. Just root for violence. Be happy with it. I know that the Brundage fight doesn't go is about even money. It's maybe plus 105. I know the RDA one's plus money. If you want to do under 2.5 from Malarkey to get those odds a little better, you're probably looking at about, if I had to guess, plus 850, plus 900. Since the Onama one's going to be about minus 200. I like that just as my violence play. As far as my prop parlay, I kind of might tell you on this sub play, man. It's kind of interesting. A three banger with subs. I mean, I already know Vandera is going to cost me it, but I don't know if I can resist it. I may have to just take a poke on that. But guys, we made it, man. 12 fights, 45 minutes. So hopefully we didn't take up too much of your time. Quick programming note before we get to the where you can find yous. 8:15 Eastern time tonight on this channel. Wheezy and Brady doing probability, breaking down all the time props from a statistical basis based on every metric that Wheezy came up with. The guy is a genius. Also, if you could, please go watch the Cody Brundage interview. It was really enjoyable. I think I said 30 words during the whole thing. Wheezy had it covered. He killed it. Wheezy was a total pro interviewing him, and he had a great time. And man, this guy wins. I assume we can get him back every single time he's got a fight week. Plus, maybe we can get some of these other Factory X guys, like when Josh Fremd gets healthy, or but we're working on some of that too. Mike, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, sir. So you guys can all find me on Twitter at the Couch Warrior Pod. That's where I post all my plays as soon as I make them or the day of. Recently, I've just been updating my slate like every day, which has been working. So follow me there. And then my YouTube channel is Couch Warrior Podcast. I do a weekly breakdown every Tuesday where I just break down the fights from a gambling perspective. And I have been trying to have guests on. I've had some cool ones, so definitely check it out. And then my Wednesdays I do a fantasy show where I break down prize picks, underdog fantasy, monkey knife fights. I do it with some stats that I don't believe are out anywhere else. So it's pretty cool. Check that out as well. And I do put my charts in the description for everybody to use, so that's cool as well. Then Thursdays, we're over here in the bet elevator, and then on Saturday I should be on the roundtable over with John Kelly. So thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
So you can find me at Lou Betya. You probably already knew that. I assume we're taking a hiatus for 1 week. Next week there's I'll be traveling for the event. I know Mike's getting ready for the event. We will not be on next week, but I will post all my stupid ass props. Like always, you're free to tail. I may even do a write-up in lieu of a video. I know Mike always posts his props. He actually gets his props earlier in the week, way before I do. But I'll get my props up. I don't even know if I'm doing that. We might have to work out the happy hour for next week. It may be a midnight show on Thursday like we've done before, or I may be doing it remote. I just don't know. Like, I'm getting my travel stuff together, but next week we're off. And then when we get to the London card, I know that Mike's going to have some exciting things for that. We're going to have some exciting things. I'm going to probably say like a whole bunch of like offensive things to the Brits, but I watch soccer. So like they can deal with it, man. Like I watch soccer with the Brits all the time. They'll just tell me what to say that's funny and I'll do it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Guys, have a great night. Good luck this weekend. And we will see you soon. Take care.